right, Doc, thanks. And we continue to monitor the scene over inside turn number 3 as this race sits under the red flag. Just joining us, a multi-car accident on the back straightaway as the race had just restarted for a green-white checker 2-lap sprint to the finish. Contact in the pack sent cars careening out of control, and a hard crash there involving Eric McClure. And that is where the attention is focused. All other drivers have climbed from their cars. Kevin Harvick just been released from the medical center. And in these situations, Doc talked about the training that the personnel received. NASCAR sends an advanced team into town, and all the care is coordinated through the racetrack with all of the local hospitals and the best trauma units and so on, all coordinated up to provide the best possible care for these drivers in the event of a situation like this. Kevin Harvick from the medical center with Mike Massaro.
As we're checking in at the medical center. Kevin Harvick has just been released. He was asking to see a replay here. Not really sure what happened.
I just know I got hit from behind. You know, I was offset a little bit there, just trying to push the 40 or 87, and just got turned around. So just part of it. I mean, you hate it for everybody at Armour and RCR for having to fix the car, but that's Talladega, man.
Heavy lick. You okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Kevin Harvick, okay. That's the good news.
Mike, thanks. That's Taylor Malsom behind Harvick, also involved in the crash and obviously released from the medical center. You saw that yellow backboard with the areas on it for stabilizing the head and so on. And the safety workers continue attending to Eric McClure. Another of the drivers involved in the accident with Mike.
Taylor Malsom, lots of cars, lots of heavy licks. What did you see?
All I saw was Kevin come in front of me, and I hit him, and then tried to get around the rest. I thought we were going to be okay, and then the 7 came up and got us again and just took out the front end. Not a lot we could do, just pack racing, you know. Real happy the Gila guys admit, I mean, a good car. I thought we could finish top 10 today easily, but wasn't meant to be. I've never finished a race here and kept the streak going, I guess.
This race reminiscent of what we saw in February at Daytona. Why is it that we see so many cautions at the end of these restrictor plate races?
I think now with the temperatures getting so hot in the engines, you just kind of waited around all race, and you could just push those last 2 laps and just your motor blew, and I think that's what everyone just racing so hard to get the win, and you know, just so close competition out here in the Nationwide Series, and it's a lot of fun, but sucks we had to end up on the hook.
Taylor Malsom, another one taken out in that crash.
There you see the work continuing over inside of turn number 3. And Eric McClure being assisted from that race car. Eric has had his share of tough breaks. It was a year ago last week that his home and many in his hometown in southwestern Virginia were damaged by a series of tornadoes that came through. Of course, his family with a long history in racing, the Morgan McClure Racing Team, with much success here at Talladega, Daytona 500 wins, so on. And again, we'll continue to provide you any update we're able to on McClure's condition as soon as we possibly can.
It's going to take a little while now to clean up all this mess on the back straightaway before they can take the red flag off. See the rollbacks coming to pick up all the cars. One thing the rest of these cars would worry about a little bit is when they shut these cars off, you lose a little bit of water out of that overflow. Sometimes they'll spew a little water, but should be okay with only just a couple laps to go. I don't think they care too much about how much they have in there.
No, I don't think they're worried about that point. Should be able to push much as they want to from this point forward. For some, we're going to have to continue to deal with some damage that they have to their cars. Others are just ready to kind of get this over with. You got to this point, you're sitting in there, you're hot, you're sweating, just ready to make it happen and hope that everybody's okay.
All right, so with respect to the fact that we only have very preliminary word about the condition of Eric McClure, we want to go back and take one look at what happened that set off this multi-car accident headed to turn 3 on the back straightaway.
It looked like a net had made a move to try to go up the middle.
It looked like he was getting a push, and he was going to try to make this happen.
That hole closed up.
As you can see, as Kyle Busch went over, Brad Keselowski tried to go over.
It was Joey Logano that was behind a net.
Yeah, it's like I said, everybody's trying to go to the front, and those holes close up so quickly. You can see the safer barrier reflect tremendously when Eric McClure hit it. Thank God it was there.
Yes.
You can see just past this, there is no safer barrier.
All that is just a product of the racing, the closeness, and getting time to try to win or make as many positions as you possibly can.
McClure is going to be transported to the University of Alabama Birmingham Medical Center for further treatment. And again, any update that we have, we will pass along as soon as possible. So we continue to monitor the situation. Any information we have, we provide it as soon as possible. And we still have to finish the race here at Talladega. We're coming back after this message and a word from our ABC stations. The NASCAR Nationwide Series race at Talladega Superspeedway is under the red flag after a multi-car accident headed toward turn number 3, damaging several cars and damaging the safer barrier as well. After a heavy impact to that barrier involving a couple of drivers, including Eric McClure, who has been assisted from his car and is going to be transported to a hospital in Birmingham for further evaluation and treatment. We continue to monitor, and we'll provide you any information as soon as we possibly can. So we still have to finish the race, and while we remain concerned about Eric McClure, they're going to finish the race. And if you are a driver, Dale, you've been in this situation before. You're sitting down there strapped in one of those race cars. You might have seen the replay on the big screen, or you might have seen it in front of you out your windshield. And now you're going to go back racing again, bumper to bumper, door to door at 190 miles an hour. How do you do it?
Well, and without sounding too callous, I mean, you're here as a competitor, and that's what you do. And every driver goes into these races with the idea that things may happen, but you have that mental concept that it's not going to happen to you. And you wish and hope the very best for people that are involved in accidents, but you're still sitting there. This race is going to finish, and you have to get your mind back right and do the job that you came here to do and finish this off. And when we go back to racing, you would think that it would calm things down, but I've seen the racing be just as wild as what we saw there whenever they go back, because that's what you do. You compete, and you have to continue to do that.
Yeah, as a crew chief or an owner, you're down there. Well, you want to refocus. Try to get your driver focused on what's left. We're still, like you said, we got a race to finish, and try to get them focused. There's nothing you can do. This happened. It's part of the deal. Everybody knows that it's kind of a risky sport, but you got to get focused back on the task at hand. That's to win this race.
And to do that, there'll be one, perhaps as much as a second, green-white checker finish still to come. Repairs continuing on the safer barrier on the back stretch inside wall before the field of cars will be fired up and sent back under the caution flag and then eventually the green flag to decide the race. See those big blocks of foam? Something designed by the folks out at the University of Nebraska, the Midwest Center for Roadside Safety, Dr. Dean Sicking and his folks, Indianapolis Motor Speedway, a driving force initially behind it, and NASCAR certainly jumping on board. And so much research has gone into designing these for different types of race cars, different types of racetracks, different locations on racetracks, and it's certainly been one of the great safety advancements in the sport.
I donated a car in the beginning of this project when they were developing this wall. I donated one of our Cup cars. I thought they were going to test the car. I didn't realize they were testing the wall. When I got it back, they had run it into the wall at about 170 miles an hour to see how these walls would hold up. And you can see that they've done a really good job in the development of this. And they've got all these different size blocks so they can repair this wall and make it safe again.
Yeah, you know, and originally this was all designed for the outside, for the walls that you see that are along the outer part of the racing surface. But as things evolved, we realized there's a lot of places that as drivers and cars you crash, and so they needed to be put in other areas, and the tracks and NASCAR have done a tremendous job in covering the majority of those places.
So the cars have been fired back up, you hear. The red flag being withdrawn, the yellow flag being displayed, meaning those teams with cars on the pit lane needing to do work on them can now resume the work on the cars, not allowed to work on them under the red flag. And as the field rolls off, we go to Dr. Jerry Punch.
Back at the Care Center, Michael Annett walking out. First of all, Michael, you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. Just disappointed running the top 5 there on that green-white checkered restart, and we were smart and played it safe all day, and then had a really good push and tried to shoot the middle. And you know, when you get a push like that, you got to do something with it. If you hit the brakes, you get turned, and and that just accordion effect. So I stayed in it, had a hole there, and it shut, and couldn't really. At that point, we were in the hole and couldn't really do anything about it.
You were in the medical center, and some of Eric McClure's family was around. Any word get to you on his status?
Not really. We were in the ambulance and saw him obviously get cut out of the car, and he was talking. So, you know, I think he probably just hit his head a little bit, and you know, they're definitely worried about our safety and just taking all the precautions they need to.
All right, Michael Annett, and we're waiting for some official reports on the Eric McClure situation, guys.
Doc, thanks. You heard Michael Annett's description of the accident. He went for that hole 3 wide with a big push in the draft from Joey Logano.
Yeah, and he did have a big run. The problem was, as Kyle Busch was getting a push from Brad Keselowski, Brad came over to keep that, but Kyle was clear of any cars, but it did kind of run a net out of room there. Just one of the racing things that happen in these packs.